Welcome back to Football Daily Weekly, where we're discussing the 5 talking points from the weekend. On the show today, Steve Howson from, well, everywhere. Twitter pariah, you called yourself earlier.
Yeah, can we start again?
Yeah? Yeah. From FullTimeDevils.
That was a joke.
Yeah. FullTimeDevils? Yeah, and other places. Go see him, because his analysis of Manchester United, most people say is, I believe, spot on.
Spot on.
And someone else who analyses things, spot on.
Averagely, but
yeah.
I try my best.
Joe from FD. It's good to have you guys. Let's talk about point number 1. Leicester City are the team to beat in the title race. What?
20 points clear of Chelsea.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. What a job Ranieri's done. I mean, he must have been loving it last night, giving it back to Abramovich.
They had a warm embrace, Jose and Ranieri, after the
I imagine
match.
Ranieri and Abramovich didn't quite have the same embrace though, because I think he probably doesn't like him as much as some would say. But what about anybody saying Ranieri for the Madrid job?
Why?
Why not?
What, Atletico?
No, Real. If Benitez goes,
Let's just calm it a little bit.
that?
Let's see if I want to
Why
see
not
Leicester
leave Leicester?
complete this.
Oh come on, he's never going to stay at Leicester, is he?
Leicester have got a project. They've got a bit like we heard from was it Leicester City TV not long ago?
Yeah, it was Phil.
Yeah, Phil. He was saying we've got billionaires, we've got money to invest, we've got some great players already. What's to stop them building a project?
The biggest thing that's going to stop them building a project is
being in Leicester.
Is the winter transfer window and the summer transfer window. If they can resist all the bids that are definitely on their way in there now, then, and I hope they do, and I hope they even can add to it a little bit, because I'm really interested to see how far this can go without being picked apart. Because this happens every single season. There's one team that just goes boom, sets off like an absolute rocket. The winter transfer window comes around, you either get a bad injury to the star player that's doing it, or that star player gets bought by somebody else, and then they just completely collapse. So I'd love to see where this Leicester train naturally stops without being crashed.
I've never been to Leicester train station. I think one of the things, though, I don't know if you watched the Chelsea game the other night, but the difference between Vardy and Diego Costa down the other end. Vardy, a striker full of confidence. Diego Costa down the other end, I don't know what he's full of, but it just wasn't confidence.
He's so willing to run in behind. I think that's Vardy's biggest asset. Is he's straight in behind like a.
Mahrez gets the ball, bam.
He's
he knows, and they both know where to run.
And I think it was quite telling, wasn't it, when Mourinho said after the game, he kind of said, "Look, we worked on this all week long was Vardy's runs in between the central defenders, and they still couldn't deal with it." So whether that says something about how poor Chelsea's defenders are, or whether Vardy's literally that good.
But the whole John Terry problem that Robbie Savage was so happy about,
Delighted.
And no one else was, and just the overall confidence in the Chelsea team, Steve.
The Chelsea confidence, in stark contrast to the Leicester confidence, is a fascinating thing at the moment, because it literally is polar opposites, and the game last night was an example of the polar opposites. How one team, on paper, they shouldn't even be a contest. When you stick it out on the grass, there was only one winner.
So it's about the nuance of both sides, and that's probably why people are saying that this team won't get picked apart, is because the nuance at Leicester at the moment is really good.
I'm scared it will get picked apart.
I think the likes
you
of
hope it would.
Mahrez is probably going to get picked off. I mean, he's young,
the thing is, but the point then goes with that they can offer him a big contract.
They can, but can they offer him the same sort of money that the likes of a Chelsea would have been able to?
It's not just your basic wage with a club. When you sign for a club like United, the sponsorship
Champions
stuff
League,
that comes in.
Else.
Well, Leicester are very likely, I think, to qualify for Champions League. They're nearly at their target of 40 points to stay up.
9 points clear of 5th place.
So I think that they need another 10-12 weeks to make this.
Just another
blip.
10-12 weeks, please.
But they've already done 14-15 weeks so far. So
would you say that that's part of the worry, is that a lot of their statistics are above average for the things that they need, but not only that, they're a team who they do have some glaring issues. Leicester at times they have some problems within that side.
You'd be concerned if some of the key players got injured in that spine. Maybe
Hoof is out next weekend. Who's out because he was he's on the yellow cards.
And then obviously Drinkwater came off, looked a bit suspect. Although King came off.
This is where January is going to be the key month for them. That they retain what they've got, and if they have got the money, let's see them sensibly spend it. I mean, the scouting, they've clearly got good scouting from the players that they've brought in and the level that they've brought in. Let's see if they can bring in 1 or 2 more, and if they're of a similar sort of level, what they're going to need. They're going to need 8 wins, I reckon, to secure that Champions League spot.
Point number 2, Bournemouth are for real.
Mm-hmm.
They are. It's a real place with a real stadium and a real manager.
And a real Harry Redknapp hovering around the outskirts of it.
Why would yeah? Well, I mean that's different. Harry Redknapp goes everywhere, doesn't he? I actually quite like Harry Redknapp now for different reasons, though. Can we talk a little bit about how they've achieved these two really big wins in a row and how people are misanalyzing it?
Hang on. I know I'm a United fan, but I don't think you can take the beating of United to be this massive achievement for Bournemouth. Look at the team we had out on paper. We had a midfielder and 3 children in defence.
Yeah.
The first goal that goes in is the flukiest kind of goal that you ever see scored in a playground, where it just flies into the top corner from a corner.
And then there's the whole Anthony Martial thing. And David De Gea
If we're
just
calling
like,
them the real deal for beating United, there's going to be a long list of teams that are the real deal at the moment, aren't we?
Well, I think we're talking about the previous result as well, the great result they got against Chelsea the week before that. And that's 2 weeks in a row.
Again, are we really measuring people up against this Chelsea team?
So you're saying, to put it in context...
To put it in context, they beat 2 poor sides.
But they did get 2 wins in the Premier League.
They did, and on reflection, I think they're very likely to stay up this season as well, which is a good achievement for them. But I don't think beating United and Chelsea at this current time isn't that big of an achievement.
We're bamboozled by the shirt, essentially, and we're like, he's wearing a United shirt, he must be a good player.
Yeah.
Do you think then that we need to look at the context for the other 2 sides and say you really should be better than that?
Absolutely.
It doesn't change 2 wins for Bournemouth and the nature of those wins for Bournemouth.
No, the league table shows that they beat United and they're now on, I think they're on about 16 points or so.
Sure.
But if you're analysing it fairly, you have to say, really, the United team that was out there was not the United team we used to, and that Chelsea team, even though they had a pretty strong team out on paper, we don't know what's going on with that Chelsea team, and they are not playing like champions of England.
Having said that, there were 2 wins in there for Bournemouth. And, a lot of positives there, not necessarily built around what Bournemouth have been built on recently. They got, a lot from set pieces, those kind of things.
They did, but I think United over the last few weeks have been very poor from set pieces. Didn't help. You saw it against Wolfsburg and against Bournemouth, but I think Bournemouth exploited it perfectly. I mean, the well-worked set piece that they scored, I think the second goal off.
You got to hold your hands up. That was great.
That's just brilliant. That's Eddie Howe, absolute brilliance on the training ground. Man pulls away, blocks a runner, comes in, scores a goal. That's fabulous.
It's like the screen, isn't it, in basketball?
I mean, hats off to Eddie Howe, because that's exactly what he's in there to do, and that's why everybody seems to love him at the moment, because he's very tactically aware.
They say Eddie Howe, and he says just like this.
Brilliant joke, tragic. But no, he's been fantastic for them. Like, again, you look at the injuries they've had. If you imagine Leicester in the same scenario, let's equivalate kind of Wilson to Vardy.
You just make up a word.
I think I just made up a word.
Let's just equivalate.
Equivalate. Add it to the dictionary. But I think
embarrassing.
That's such a big injury for them that they've recovered so well. And when Glenn Murray came on, you kind of saw him miss 2 absolute sitters, and you think, would Wilson have buried him? Probably. And then you're suddenly looking at 4 goals against United.
Point number 3, we're talking about the Euro 2016 draw. It's not even 2016 and we're already talking about it, guys. Did England draw Wales? Yes.
They did. Brilliant.
Shit.
Brilliant. But I suppose Wales the same team that qualified for the Euros at the moment? I know
it's always the same country, mate.
It is always the same country and based in the same place. But I mean, the likes of Ashley Williams kind of
unless it's Kosovo. They're always...
shifting about.
Yeah.
But Ashley Williams kind of dragged them through qualification along with Bale. Defensively, obviously, Bale was going forward, but Ashley Williams was so structured and strong.
Oh, come on, Ramsey was pretty good as well in that
midfield
when he wasn't injured.
So you got one individual from each position. You look at Ashley Williams.
They've got that spine, basically, and then around that, the filler just isn't quite as good, I don't think.
And when Ashley Williams is on poor form for Swansea at the moment, let's face it, he's not been good. So when you take away the base of that and you look at what is around Ashley Williams to support him.
Tournament football, playing against England, playing against all the players that you know from the Premier League.
Good point made on the weekend by Mina Rizuki is that it's a longer tournament than we've ever had before. So if you're playing high intensive football, like maybe the likes of Italy will be, some other sides in there, are you going to be able to go the whole tournament? And with all the matches being so close, you can't play the same intensity that maybe a Klopp or a Pep Guardiola would want to play. So is that going to serve maybe a team like England who don't have the intensity but have other aspects?
You've also got to bring into the equation here that some of the smaller teams might do well by not having players feature in the latter stages of the Champions League, and not fighting for either championship spots at the end of the season. You might have Swansea probably not looking at relegation, probably just going to cruise to a bang average mid-table position. that might give Ashley Williams the chance to
Refresh
chill out
himself,
and go
I
into
don't think Ashley Williams has got the chance to chill out anytime.
You know what I mean?
The worry for him is that Bielsa will come in at Swansea.
Then he will
And then Wales are done at the Euros if Bielsa goes anywhere near Swansea. And then obviously England have also drawn Slovakia and Russia. Slovakia, you're right, Martin. Russia, shit.
Well, I would be quietly confident if I was England. I know we say it every kind of tournament, don't we?
But
if
Russia.
No, we start off quietly confident. We
We
get a
do,
draw
yeah.
against someone
Yeah.
we didn't deserve to in a
100%,
friendly,
yeah.
and then we think we can win
It's
it.
all gone downhill. But
I'm not saying England can win it. Russia are an intimidating, unpleasant team to play. The atmosphere in the stadium is horrible if you come from any other part of Europe.
they do. But you got to think in that.
It's gonna be in France.
It's going to be English dominant support base. In
Oh,
France.
it's going
I
to be
don't know
just
if you've ever
dozens
been
of
to a
people
tournament where
dressed,
Russia go.
dozens
It's
of
not
people dressed as Knights Templar, everything,
But-
morph suits, the lot.
ABBA.
I think it's going to be some actual very interesting games in that group. But I like the idea of kind of a Tottenham Hotspur spine. I kind of like that. Eric Dyer, Dele Alli, Harry Kane going through the spine.
I think
don't
Russia
know
and
about you.
Slovakia like the sound of that as well, mate.
What?
I don't know if Dele Alli is going to be a first choice in midfield.
Really?
Who
Yeah,
would
I don't know
you-
if he is.
Who would you go for?
On reflection,
Jordan Henderson?
No.
Oh.
No.
But I don't know if Dele Alli is going to be in there. I don't know who would be in
I would
ahead
really
of him
like
as
to-
dead certs.
If Eric Dyer and Dele Alli have a whole season together and Spurs finish kind of fourth, I think that what a platform that is to build on. They've got a connection in their midfield. I think England have
Dyer I
always
like.
struggled with that. They've always struggled with chucking
Connected
two players
midfielders,
together
yeah.
into a connected midfield, and you've got one already ready-made for you.
Who do you think's going to win?
I'm going to go for the Italians.
Ooh.
I mean, you could count them as dark horses.
Dark
Why
horses.
not?
I think the Germans and the French are probably outstanding favourites, but I think the Italians are just kind of going to. The Serie A league as a whole just seems to be developing into a bit more of a force than it was a few years ago.
It's been off the radar massively.
There's a lot of
hasn't
youth in that
It's
side,
kind
isn't
of
there?
just starting to build. Now, if I was other teams, I would look at Italy as a bit concerned. The likes of Verratti, there's some very strong defensive structure and going
Tricky
into
group
it.
though as well.
Do you
Tricky group,
do you
but
not par Italy and England though? Because you could say exactly
No.
the same things about England.
No,
I
'cause
don't
I think
know. I
the
think it is
Italians got
different.
the mentality the English haven't. I think the
Maybe.
Italians they actually step up in tournaments where the English step down. I think just
Or do we
Excuse me?
actually
go.
just do what we was
maybe
of the
we
ability
just-
to
just
do,
the
and we've
ability.
been overhyped?
I don't know. I don't know if it's hype. I just think it's perception. I think the Italians perceive themselves as able to do this. at
I
times.
just quite like this. Who do you guys think?
France.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hosting it.
I don't put that much emphasis on them hosting it, but I put.
Really?
Yeah.
You know that the only tournament they've ever lost, granted they've only ever hosted two of the tournaments after that, but the only tournament they ever lost outside of that was 1960, the first ever one, and the Soviet Union won it then, and we all know what happened to them.
I don't think the hosting of it is that.
I think it's
Important
I think
when
it's
players are
massive,
spread out
considering
across
what
Europe.
happened with the ISIS events and considering everything
Oh,
else.
that's probably going to play a big part into it. I think more Martial, Pogba, Benzema. I think
Giroud.
the quality of players, apart from Giroud.
If Benz goes, Benz might not be on the plane with the old.
Yeah, very
Bear in
likely.
mind,
Might
you
not
don't
on the
need to get on
I
a
mean, he would
plane
just
if
literally
you're in
fly around in a
France.
circle,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
he's gonna get on a
Yeah.
We
plane.
might use trains,
Yeah.
probably like
Probably a
Citroens.
car or not, maybe
Yeah, I mean,
maybe even a bike.
we all know about transport.
But
It's
yeah,
a
France
football
my
show.
pick anyway.
Yeah. Poland. Yeah, I just think Lewandowski's got it. Number 4, Barcelona stuttered.
Stuttered.
I mean, they stuttered with the draw, but they still stuttered.
They did Neymarless as well, so I think that was a big.
That's
issue
the
for
reason
him.
why.
I think genuinely probably was one of the reasons why. I think he had so much to that Barcelona team that is missing when you've put Sandro out on that left-hand side where he was filling in for Messi, but he had Neymar as the backup. Now you've got Messi as the backup. Messi dropping slightly deeper is a big proposition for Sandro to fill a whole wing by himself.
Do you not just think that they were well played, and that essentially Deportivo, in the same way that there are other sides who did well at the weekend?
Only lost one away game, Deportivo, as well this season,
Yeah.
so we know they're a tough team to break down. But other than a few obvious contenders, I think Neymar is up there with, if not the best in Europe at the moment on current form. And so when you take a player that good out of the team, especially driving forward, I think he gives Suarez a lot lot of good chances in there because he dragged so many players away from him.
Yeah, good point. And Suarez definitely thrives on that kind of space,
Yeah, exactly.
as will Messi in the way that Suarez and Neymar are both making runs. They still scored 2 goals. They still conceded 2 goals.
Yeah.
That's maybe the worry here, isn't it? They conceded 2.
Are we really worried about Barcelona just stuttering a little bit?
I'm not worried about it. What I'm
there's
saying
no
is, if we
doubt that they're
analyse it, then maybe we can get that soft underbelly.
Ooh.
Maybe. I think if you were Arsenal and you were looking at that Deportivo performance, you'd be going, right,
Wenger's going, do that.
Well, unless Wenger's going to get to pick the team for them, then if they've got a full selection and a full availability, they're going to blow Arsenal out the water.
Other than Neymar,
Really?
Neymar, it's a pretty strong selection. So if you were Wenger and you were looking at how fragile Barcelona were defensively when like Mathieu came on and he was terrible coming in from left back positions, he was awful, and his defensive line was really, really bad. So if I was Wenger, I'd be looking at that and going, this is possibly the formula of how we break Barcelona down. Not necessarily how we defend against them, because when you had Neymar, it's a completely different scenario.
But Neymar, Messi, and Suarez play,
Yeah.
and I don't think you're stopping that. Not when they
No,
decide
maybe
to
not.
turn up, because you got to remember, if depending on the fixture list, they can basically have a week off at the weekend in the Spanish league and still win 3-4-0.
And the final point this week: Liverpool was no fluke. Newcastle can do it against other teams that press.
They can, but Spurs maybe are looking a little bit leggy. They're not on great form now, are they, Spurs? I think they haven't won their last 3, and it's starting to. I just wonder whether the whole hype around them has kind of got to the younger players, because it is a young team, isn't it? And the big pressure when the media start going, oh, Dyer's this, Ali's that,
Unbeaten run.
blah 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 blah, and then you look at they have to bring in Thomas Carroll for Dembele, and maybe then you think, well, is Carroll up to that level that Ali is? And you
I
think,
don't know.
well, probably not. And then again, you come back to the depth of squad issue for Spurs, where they're going to have to go out in January and buy some players.
Essentially, McLaren played it right when everyone was saying he's not a good enough coach. He's fucking terrible. Why the hell we get him? He turns around and he just went, nah, I'll do it right.
Every year Newcastle are tipped for relegation, and somehow they just pull it out, don't they? But at the moment,
Out of what?
you know where they pull it out of.
Mike
At the moment,
asshole.
they're counter-attacking well. They're playing with a little bit of pace. They're not great in possession, but they are hitting teams with speed, with accuracy, and it's getting the job done at the moment. But like we were saying with Atletico Madrid, Newcastle must be a terrible place for a manager to work, because with exact
If
same
it's
scenario,
anything like Sports Direct, then
0-hour contracts with Wijnaldum.
can you imagine if McLaren was on a 0-hour contract?
It would be a disaster. Actually, probably
At times, it does look like he's on a 0-hour contract.
But again, all your best players are just continually sold out from underneath you in a
Yeah.
much more competitive league.
Yeah, but then they're making the most of what they got right now. And, Wijnaldum went there. There was this ridiculous thing about them only playing well whenever they were on TV.
They are, but let's not forget they did spend 50 million in the summer, so they're not quite the small club that some of the other teams in the Premier League.
No, but the worry is they
structure
could be
are.
soon,
They
because
could be,
Sports Direct
definitely.
has lost a lot of money recently. I mean, Mike Ashley lost something like 280 million in a day, allegedly.
Well, I'm
I think he keeps
sure.
that change in his wallet. He's like the 8th richest man in the UK. I think he's fine.
Yeah, in
And
the
I'm
UK,
sure the
though.
Newcastle fans were probably
Yeah.
actually rubbing their hands together when they heard that Sports Direct had lost that money. Because what happens if Sports Direct goes bust and actually sells the club? They're happy as Larry. So
It does seem
not
like
so
a really
bad.
poorly run club, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Steve, it's been good to have you on the show.
Thank you
Thanks
very
for coming
much.
down. And of course, go over to FullTimeDevils to see him there. Where else can people see you on Twitter? What's your Twitter?
At Mr. Stephen Howson.
Missed. I like that. Not official Stephen Howson. I love those people. And of course, Joe. What's your Twitter?
Official Joe.
Official
No,
Joe.
it's not.
Oh, yeah.
Joe Thomlinson.
It's been good to have you guys. We'll see you again real soon. Football Day.